First of all, why it works, or why we have the reincarnational process, is because this learning process is not something that one can expect to accomplish in 60, 70 years. It just doesn't work that there's too much to learn. It's a change of your being, and people don't change that much from their experience. So you're going to have to do it multiple times. Remember, this is an evolution machine. This will be kind of an odd way to express this to you. Only a physicist could say this, and I don't know whether you'll like it or not. But think of us in this reincarnational sense as sort of like the working fluid in a evolutional engine, right? Sort of like the refrigerant goes around in the compressor in a refrigerator. Each time it goes around, it gets cooled a little bit. And here we are, each time we go around, we decrease our entropy a little bit. So here we are decreasing entropy, turn after turn. We're the working fluid in an evolution machine. And that's our job. Yeah, I see the technical people are getting that. They say, yeah, I see that. Other people kind of that don't relate to that. But we have to go around. It's a cyclical thing, because every time you cycle, you are trying to lose entropy and doing a little better. So that's why we have to have the reincarnation. The other reason is that people get trapped. What happens to the majority of people is that there's a few times when you think you know everything. One of them is 2. It's called the terrible 2s. The next one is the teenage years. And that's, of course, those are terrible as well. Then you get to about 40 or 50, and people kind of think they know everything. They've been there, they've done that, and there's not much that they don't know. And they have their beliefs, and basically they're dead-ended. They get in a corner. They box themselves into a corner with their beliefs, and that stops their growth. So they're just kind of there. Well, you have to give them a chance. You can't say, well, you're stuck, you're there forever. For eternity, you're stuck there. What happens is they die, they get to start over with a clean slate without all those beliefs. They have to regenerate all of that intellectual thinking stuff over from scratch. Now, they don't start over from scratch as far as their quality of consciousness. Whatever quality of consciousness they attained in that last incarnation, that's where they start the next time. But they have to start from zero as far as their experience base goes, which means all their beliefs and that kind of stuff has to come up pretty much from scratch. Now, that's not entirely true. I'm just giving you the kind of the bigger picture. When you pass from this reality frame, you're just shifting data streams. When you shift that data stream, immediately most people tend to be very confused because they don't know what's going to happen. They're confused. A lot of times they're frightened and terrified. Could be an accidental death, or even if it's just old age, they're often very terrified of death. And they kind of wake up, if you will. They maintain, they don't really wake up, they just continue consciousness, and they're in a different environment. And it's very disconcerting for most. And there is a whole reality frame, a virtual reality frame, that's designed just for transitions. And that's what they do there. That's their job. And people who are transitioning, they basically are met, they're guided, and mostly what's being done is they're being set at ease. Relax, everything's okay, you're where you're supposed to be. Yes, everything's fine, relax. Yes, your dog, will get along, and all this reassurance sort of thing. What begins to happen almost immediately is that your past physical life starts to fade very much the way a dream fades when you wake up and you've been dreaming. It starts to just fade away. So all of those concerns, all of those, very, very important things that were on the top of your mind start to get less important and start to fade. You're taken to places that will assure you that you're in process. And a lot of that is just so you feel, because you come knowing that if you have to be doing something, you need to be in process. What line should I stand in? Is kind of the way you feel, because if you're not standing in a line to do something or somebody do something to you, then nothing's happening. So we have these beliefs. So sure enough, they create process. They create lines to stand in. They create places to go, things to do, people to talk to, and okay, your turn's coming. Next we're gonna, And people kind of gradually then get they get decompressed from this reality into a larger, all the time the physical's dropping away. The dream that you just had of the physical is disappearing, getting weaker and weaker and weaker. Eventually, you are approached about another incarnation, about what it is you need to do. The idea that you're trying to learn and grow. If you are aware enough, if you've been through this enough times that you kind of, oh yeah, all right, I get it, then you will get to a place where they will work with you on what do you want to do next? What do you need to work on? Where do you think your problems are? And if you go, I don't have any problems, they will show you what your problems are and what you have to do next. That's what some of those databases are for. They'll take you and they'll run those databases and they'll say, well, look here, you see this where you gave this guy the finger when he, pulled in front of you, that wasn't nice, And you need to you have an anger management problem, You have this ego problem, and you'll go basically through a review. If you don't know the answers, they'll help you find them. You will see where your problems are, and there is no escaping. It's not like you can say, oh, well, that's not true. That didn't happen. They've got you good to right, and you know it. And a lot of things that you didn't even know that you did necessarily that were very unhelpful, may come back up, and you see it, and you go, oh, I get it. Okay, I really need to work on anger management. And then you decide, well, then let's put you in a place where anger management is going to challenge you, because that's how you get over things. You don't get over them by ignoring them. You get over by going into them and being challenged by them. So then they'll put you in that situation where, you're a father and you've got 4 teenage daughters, and anger management is really something that you need to work on. Anyhow, do I sound like a guy that had teenage daughters? I have 2 girls and 2 boys, and they're all wonderful. And if you know what you're doing, which is part of this question, if you know about the larger reality, if you understand how things work, you're better at playing the game than you are if you're totally clueless. So that's why this kind of understanding is really helpful, because it can help you interpret your experiences. Why is this happening to me? You start looking for your lessons. You start realizing that growing and the choices you make are very important, instead of just going through life like a zombie, doing whatever you do because you're doing it. You can kind of be aware, living in the moment, aware of your ego, aware of your anger, trying to reduce those things. If you actually make an effort, you can do a lot better, a lot quicker, a lot faster. You don't have to evolve in tiny, tiny steps. If you're totally unaware, then it takes you a long time before you start to become aware. But, those of us who have been around a few times, and you come back and you're a zero, as far as you don't know anything in this physical reality anymore, you start over, we get nudged a lot. Things happen to us. Paranormal things pop in our face and go, hey, there's a bigger reality out here. Remember. And it takes you along, so you get back a lot more quickly than it took you to get there the first time, because you come back in with the same quality that you attained the last time. So it's a much faster trip each time, you see. So you get back to where you left off a lot quicker than it took you to get there the last time. So that's kind of the way that the reincarnation works.